Number one, are you ready? Are you ready?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 craziest Donald Trump moments.
Just when you think it can't get any more outrageous, Donald Trump does it again.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most uncomfortable, mind-boggling, and straight-up infamous moments from this American businessman who went from TV personality to commander-in-chief, and then back to TV personality, we guess. Needless to say, there's a lot more to talk about since we last covered this topic in June 2016. Which Trump moment is forever burned into your subconscious? Let us know in the comments. Number 20. Mount Rushmore's fifth face. Mount Rushmore is a national icon, but it's also a divisive memorial for a variety of reasons. The controversy surrounding the monument surely would have escalated had Trump's face been immortalized alongside Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln.
Welcome, newcomer, and who might you be?
Are you serious? I'm the 45th and best president of the United States, Donald Jesus Trump.
Trump has repeatedly compared himself to Honest Abe, so it's not shocking that he floated around the idea of sharing the same mountain as him. Trump claimed that he was only joking about getting his mug engraved on Rushmore, but South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem suggests otherwise. The White House reached out to Noem about adding another president to Rushmore.
Now, according to the Times, a White House aide asked what the process would be like to add a fifth face next to President Washington, Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Lincoln. Last night, the president tweeted the story was fake news, but that, quote, sounds like a good idea to me.
Noem stated that it would be Trump's dream to join the Rushmore lineup, reportedly presenting the president with a 4-foot, $1,100 Rushmore replica with his face included. Number 19. Trump fails to disavow former KKK Grand Wizard in CNN interview.
You don't want his vote or that of other white supremacists in this election?
Well, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists. So I don't know.
When a former KKK Grand Wizard endorses your candidacy, you generally don't accept his or her support. That just goes without saying. Trump, who's been called out for racism on many occasions, should understand that an endorsement tied directly to the KKK isn't something that you should be proud of. His response during a 2016 CNN interview was predictably preposterous, and a faulty earpiece was conveniently blamed for the political gaffe thereafter.
I'm sitting in a house in Florida with a very bad earpiece that they gave me, and you could hardly hear what he was saying.
However, a more reasonable explanation may be that Trump didn't want to disenfranchise his racist followers.
Trump even cited the one-time Grand Wizard as the reason he wouldn't run on the Reform Party ticket in 2000.
You've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem.
Number 18. Trump makes incest-like remarks about daughter. Let's take a break from the outrageously offensive and look at a moment that was just downright creepy. It's perfectly normal to acknowledge the beauty of your daughter. Suggesting you would date her if you weren't related is a whole different story. And Trump did just that during a 2006 interview on The View.
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird!
This was back during a time when Trump's opinions were less controversial and more amusing. The Donald was unapologetic as ever and left us asking the ever-popular question, did Trump just say that? Yes, he did. And it wasn't the first time he'd make those kind of remarks, as demonstrated by this clip from The Daily Show, featuring an interview Trump did in the 90s, in which he made reference to the legs and potential breasts of his then baby daughter with then wife Marla Maples.
She's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
Number 17. Trump has a love-hate relationship with Megyn Kelly. Trump has a complicated relationship with Fox News, and there's one journalist in particular that he absolutely hates.
Your Twitter account has several disparaging comments about women's looks. You once told a contestant on Celebrity Apprentice it would be a pretty picture to see her on her knees.
After being allegedly targeted by moderator Megyn Kelly during a GOP debate, Trump insinuated that Megyn's menstrual cycle was to blame for her temperament.
You know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
A string of angry tweets and statements followed, and their ongoing feud prompted Trump's decision to boycott a Fox debate. This seemed to demonstrate that Donald had focused a ton of time and energy on his feud with Kelly instead of the other presidential candidates, suggesting that being the bigger person wasn't a part of his political strategy.
It's been sort of a surreal 6 months because, you know, we never anticipated that anybody would react to the questions in that particular way.
Number 16. Trump suggests that he has a big member.
That's right. Donald Trump just talked about his dick during a presidential debate. A dick which I presume looks like a Cheeto with a cheese dust rubbed on.
Political debates are a great platform to discuss your qualifications for office. These could include what foreign policy experience you have, how well you can perform under pressure, and how big your Lyndon B. Johnson is. Trump focused on the latter during one debate, alleging that political opponent Marco Rubio's attacks on his hand size were also an attack on something else down below the border.
His hands are the size of someone who's 5'2". Have you seen his hands? They're like this. And you know what they say about men with small hands?
It does make one wonder if he is overcompensating, though. And perhaps it's only a matter of time before the people demand answers.
You're running for president of the United States.
Excuse me. I didn't start it.
Okay, I didn't start it. But, sir, with all due respect, that's the argument of a 5-year-old.
I didn't start it, no.
Number 15. Trump kicks people out of his rallies. Trump rallies have garnered a notorious reputation for violence. A number of protesters that have attended his many rallies have been escorted out by security on more than one occasion. In one notable instance, 78-year-old John McGraw punched a supposedly non-violent African-American protester at a rally, while said protester was being escorted out.
Yes, he deserved it. The next time we see him, we might have to kill him.
Trump then made matters worse when he openly considered paying McGraw's legal fees.
I do want to see what that young man was doing because he was very taunting.
Despite all this, protesters continue to come out of the woodwork, which has even led to the cancellation of a rally in Chicago after violence broke out among Trump supporters and protesters. Number 14. Trump claims he will build a Great Wall and make Mexico pay for it. This speech set so much in motion, most notably by permanently changing Trump from the harmless, cartoonish billionaire to the provocative politician in many people's eyes.
Mexico will pay for the wall.
While Trump has spouted anti-Muslim rhetoric in the past, he had some less than kind words to say about Mexico during his campaign announcement speech. Yet, he insisted that Mexico would pay for his wall, which became a symbol of his campaign and eventually his presidency.
How are you going to make them pay for the wall?
I will, and the wall just got 10 feet taller, believe me.
As the nation was divided over Trump, families were separated at the U.S.-Mexico border. Meanwhile, Trump targeted majority Muslim countries with his travel ban, which Joe Biden repealed after entering office. Biden also ceased construction on the wall, which Mexico did not pay for and was breached over 3,000 times during Trump's presidency.
There will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration.
Vowing not to build another mile of wall, President Biden stopped construction after taking office. About 200 miles of border wall that was being constructed now sit in limbo.
Number 13. Trump announces 2024 run. Even before losing the 2020 election, Trump sent signals that he'd run again in 2024. We knew that it was coming, but we're a little surprised that it took until November 2022 for him to officially throw his hat into the ring. In an hour-long speech, Trump announced his White House bid at MarALago.
This will not be my campaign. This will be our campaign all together.
Various critics have a hard time believing that Trump will reclaim the presidency or even secure the Republican nomination. Then again, many were skeptical of him going all the way in 2016. However, Trump faces several new challenges on the trail to 2024, including an assortment of legal issues.
The backlash from within his party is only part of Trump's weakness right now. There are also growing legal issues.
If convicted, it wouldn't prevent Trump from running, but it'd certainly complicate matters, especially with his party eyeing other candidates. Number 12. Joe Biden tells Trump to shut up. We tuned into the 2020 presidential debates expecting a mess, and that's precisely what we got. That didn't make it any less jarring as Trump gave Proud Boys a shout-out and made an assortment of false/bizarre accusations, including one about bringing back Big Ten football.
By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it.
It was hard for Biden or moderator Chris Wallace to get a word in edgewise, with Trump constantly interrupting them. Finally, Biden was driven to tell Trump to shut up, in addition to calling him America's worst president.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
Another debate scheduled for October 15th didn't materialize for a few reasons we'll go into later. Biden and Trump did face off again on October 22nd, although a candidate's mic would be muted whenever his time ran out.
The Commission on Presidential Debates announced yesterday that each candidate will have their microphones cut off, while their opponent delivers initial 2-minute answers to each debate topic.
Number 11. At Real Donald Trump. If Donald Trump is a modern-day Charles Foster Kane, we suppose Covfefe is his rosebud. Or maybe that was just a typo for coverage.
A few minutes after midnight, the president tweeted, "Despite the constant negative press, Covfefe." Since then, the message has been retweeted more than 120,000 times.
123,000.
Well, it's ticking up. There we go.
In any case, Covfefe is arguably the one thing from Trump's Twitter account that brought joy to virtually everyone. Otherwise, Trump's tweets became notorious for spreading false information, offensive statements, and threats that some feared would incite violence. 2 days following the events of January 6, 2021, Twitter announced the permanent suspension of Trump's account as he prepared to leave office.
Because Twitter is a private company, experts say the removal of the president for violating their rules is not a violation of the First Amendment.
Twitter is absolutely allowed to silence the president, as is any other social media platform.
Of course, that wasn't the end. Barely a month after acquiring Twitter in October 2022, Elon Musk reinstated @RealDonaldTrump. Yet, Trump hasn't been active on Twitter since his banning, channeling more energy into his own social media platform, Truth Social.
Is Trump going to end the exclusive with Truth Social?
No, of course not.
No, okay.
Number 10. TikTok trolls Trump in Tulsa. Almost every social media platform has banned or restricted Trump at one point, including TikTok. If Trump had it his way, TikTok would have been banned from the U.S. While Trump claimed that the Chinese platform was a threat to national security,
we're looking at TikTok. We may be banning TikTok.
Many believe this endeavor had more to do with a prank that occurred on June 20th, 2020. At a Tulsa rally, Trump promised a high turnout based on ticket sales. Only around 6,200 showed up at the arena, which has a capacity of almost 19,000.
Inside the arena, empty seats. Outside, the overflow area torn down. A last-minute decision scrapping plans for the president to also address a crowd outdoors.
Numerous TikTok users and K-pop stans took credit for influencing followers to purchase tickets and not attend. Trump subsequently made an effort to ban TikTok as well as WeChat, although Biden revoked these actions in June 2021. Number 9. Classified documents at the old MarALago place. As mentioned before, Trump has confronted an assortment of legal troubles since leaving office. There's still much to unpack following an FBI raid that took place on August 8, 2022.
So the idea that he didn't know he was holding on to classified information and they were sitting in his desk, in his office, not just in the storage room, it's very hard to make the argument.
The previous January, Trump turned over 184 unique classified documents, met with a subpoena 38 more classified documents were surrendered that June. The same month, Trump's attorney delivered a signed document claiming that the former president had turned over all classified material. This wasn't the case, as the FBI uncovered another 103 classified documents at Trump's MarALago residence 2 months later. 54 secret documents, 18 top secret documents, and 31 confidential documents were also found. With 13,000 government documents seized overall, Trump could potentially be indicted. It wouldn't be the first time.
You're getting word that this investigation is still going full steam ahead, even intensifying.
Mary, investigators are still interviewing witnesses, going through documents, and trying to figure out who had access to them.
Number 8. E. Jean Carroll litigation. While the effects of the MarALago search are still unfolding, E. Jean Carroll versus Donald J. Trump reached a verdict on May 9, 2023.
The jury in this civil trial just moments ago finding Donald Trump liable of battery and liable of defamation in connection with claims brought by E. Jean Carroll.
In her 2019 memoir, the American Advice columnist accused Trump of sexually assaulting her during the mid-90s. Trump denied ever meeting Carroll, although a 1987 photo suggested otherwise. Carroll took out a defamation lawsuit against Trump in November 2019 and sued him for battery in November 2022. A jury consisting of 6 men and 3 women deliberated for less than 3 hours before reaching a unanimous decision. The jury didn't find Trump liable for rape, but did find him liable for sexual abuse and defamation, and ordered him to pay Carroll $5 million in damages. Number 7. Trump and Ye, a love story. Donald John Trump and Kanye Omari West may be the most unpredictable Americans alive. So naturally, they go together like Grimace and Big Macs. It wasn't always mega and roses for these two, as Trump actually called for a Kanye boycott in 2009 following a certain VMA incident with Taylor Swift. West has gone back and forth on Trump, although the two couldn't have appeared chummier at the White House in 2018.
If he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America.
West announced his candidacy for president in 2020, although some argued that this was a stunt orchestrated to help Trump's re-election. In 2022, West attended a dinner at MarALago with Trump and white nationalist Nick Fuentes. Trump wasn't pleased with the aftermath of the dinner, leaving his relationship status with Ye in limbo.
As for Trump, he's put out a series of statements saying that it was Kanye West who asked to have dinner with him, that he did so because he wanted to get advice.
Number 6. Very fine people. When Trump got elected, some rejoiced, others panicked, and the rest were willing to give him the benefit of the doubts. For many who remained on the fence, a turning point came in August 2017.
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch.
Nick Fuentes was just one of the numerous controversial figures who attended Charlottesville's Unite the Right rally, which assembled neo-Nazis, Klansmen, and other merchants of hate. The white supremacist rally resulted in 49 injuries and 3 deaths, including 2 Virginia state troopers and counter-protester Heather Heyer. In the wake of this tragedy, people hoped that Trump would condemn the hate groups behind the atrocities that had taken place. Instead, Trump argued that there was violence and very fine people on multiple sides, leaving the country even more divided.
Oh, I've answered that question, and if you look at what I said, you will see that that question was answered perfectly.
Number 5. Trump's COVID exploits. In May 2018, the White House Pandemic Response Unit was disbanded. Fast forward to January 2020, Trump claimed that the spreading coronavirus was totally under control, although advisors behind the scenes were telling him otherwise. On March 11th, the World Health Organization upgraded COVID to a pandemic, with Trump declaring a national emergency 2 days later.
The action I am taking will open up access to up to $50 billion of very important and a large amount of money for states and territories and localities in our shared fight against this disease.
Many were critical of how Trump subsequently handled the pandemic, from repeatedly resisting masks to calling COVID the China virus to comments about injecting ourselves with bleach.
And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
COVID eventually reached the White House on a large scale, with the outbreak extending to Trump, who was in the hospital for 3 days. Even then, Trump remained adamant that COVID would disappear. Number 4, Trump wins the 2016 election, not 2020. On the morning of November 8th, 2016, a lot of people thought they had an idea of how the day would play out.
Going into this night, where do we stand?
This is where we stood coming into the night, 268 to 204, so clearly an advantage for Secretary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton would become America's first female president. Trump would refuse to concede, and Alec Baldwin would make less frequent appearances on SNL. As election night unfolded, it became abundantly clear that the next 4 years would be vastly different from what some envisioned. Although Clinton won the popular vote by just under 3 million, Trump emerged victorious with 304 electoral votes against his opponent's 227.
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me.
By January 20th, 2017, Trump was sworn in as America's 45th president, and the first without any previous government or military credentials. Some called it an upset, others called it a wake-up call. Number 3, Trump gets impeached. Twice. With Joe Biden as the likely Democratic candidate, Trump pressured Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to help discredit his rival's son, Hunter. The Trump administration was also accused of withholding military support from Ukraine. This culminated with the House impeaching Trump in December 2019, citing abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
It is tragic that the president's reckless actions make impeachment necessary. He gave us no choice.
Trump would be the third U.S. president to face impeachment after Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, although Richard Nixon probably would have joined this lineup had he not resigned. The Senate ultimately acquitted Trump on February 5, 2020, but the impeachment saga didn't end there. A week after the January 6 attack, Trump was impeached for the second time.
Congress tonight impeached the man who sent them there, charging the president with incitement of insurrection.
He must go. He is a clear and present danger to the nation that we all love.
The Senate saved Trump again, but he went down as the country's first twice impeached president. Number 2, January 6th. As Biden emerged victorious from the 2020 election, Trump called Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, asking for 11,780 votes.
Inside a stunning new pressure campaign as President Trump tries to overturn his election defeat.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
Trump continued to make stolen election claims, leading to one of the country's darkest hours. On January 6, 2021, as Congress met to formalize Biden's win, the U.S. Capitol was stormed by a horde of Trump supporters.
Right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Down the mall, President Trump airing his grievances in front of his supporters at a rally nearby, and he was warning vengeance for Republicans who did not take his side.
This resulted in 5 deaths and almost $30 million in damages. Many pointed to Trump, who had been spreading conspiracy theories before and after the election. Most notably, Trump encouraged his followers at the Ellipse to fight like hell before the Capitol attack. Hesitating to send the National Guard, Trump eventually told his followers to go home in a video, while again calling the election fraudulent.
You have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Indictments. American crime Stormy. Donald Trump will go down in American history for numerous firsts, some more flattering than others. In March 2023, a Manhattan grand jury indicted Trump, making him the first U.S. president to be charged with criminal activity.
This was that the hush money payments were categorized as legal fees.
For years, Trump's critics suspected that he would face serious legal ramifications, although they might have been surprised by the scandal that led to this historic case. It all started in 2006, when Trump allegedly had a sexual encounter with adult film star Stormy Daniels. A decade later, Trump's attorney Michael Cohen was instructed to pay Daniels $130,000 in hush money, violating campaign rules.
Prosecutors in New York are deciding whether former President Trump falsified business records by logging the payment one way, even if it was meant for something else.
Trump has pleaded not guilty to the 34 felony charges against him, but if convicted, it could mean 4 years per count.